Okay, so long story short, back in July when I first moved to San Cris, I got sick with COVID and I had a doctor's appointment. I needed to get cash, so I went to the ATM, got my cash, and left. Unfortunately, it was one of those ATMs where you get your money, then you tell it you're done with transactions, and then you get your card back. The negative of going to an ATM, the negative of doing things when your brain is a little bit fuzzy, is sometimes you leave your ATM card in the ATM machine. We'll figure that out later. While I was a little bit freaked out at not having one of my cards, I didn't completely freak out because I had another card with a different bank. And so all I had to do was go through the annoying process of making sure all of my subscriptions that were part of the first card got transferred to the new card. I of course had to cancel that card, but I didn't worry about having it mailed to me in Mexico because I didn't trust the mail system and because I had another card. So it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Fast forward to October and I am again at the ATM to get money for Alex's birthday. Okay, so I'm low-key freaking out right now. I realized that yesterday when I used the ATM card, I apparently left my ATM card in the machine again. Now, this was my last ATM card and I had rent due in 2 weeks. So this time, obviously, I had to get my card back. I went and tried to contact my banks. I assumed that by now, my first card that was technically in the US with my sister, that it was too late to activate it. So I contacted the bank, letting them know that I need a new card to be sent to Mexico because that's where I was, and they would only do it if I changed my address with the bank to Mexico, which seems easy enough. However, the address I actually live at is not a real address. I had the same problem in Merida, by the way, where they essentially created a home without updating, for all intents and purposes, Google Maps. And so I didn't have a legal address in Merida, and I kind of don't have a legal address in San Cris. My road is what they call a private road, of which there are plenty in Mexico, and what that means is it's not real. So I don't have a real address. What they do is they let you know the main street that you're off of, right? So I have a main street that my street is off of, and they guesstimate. If there was a house here, what number would it be? And so that's the number of my house. And then you have to add basically a little note that says, here's how to actually get to my house, right? So at the place where you would expect my house to be, instead you will find a road. Go down the road and I'm the white house with the red trim. Like that's how you would explain where you live. But unfortunately, the bank, online form where you give them your address, they don't have room for all of this explanation. Like they just don't have room. So that wasn't going to work. I confirmed with the bank that my first card that had never been activated from 3-4 months ago was still actually valid, that if I got it in my hands, I could still activate that card even this late. So the plan was for my sister to send that card to me via UPS or DHL. I am told that FedEx is never the way to go. So we're not doing FedEx. Now, again, on the UPS automated form, there's not room for extra notes, so you just have street addresses. What my sister was able to do is after she printed the form, put it onto the package, she hand wrote the rest of the instructions for how to get to my house, which is a good thing. And of course, I made sure they had my Mexican phone number so they could call me if needed, which we'll get to that part later. With my other card, told them to mail it to my address in Florida, which is my legal address. Now, at the same time, my friend Karen happened to be in the US. She was there for 3 weeks, and she was gracious enough to give me her address in Miami. And so once I actually got the card, instead of sending it to my sister, I sent it to my friend, and then she carried card number 2 to my house in her luggage, which I super, super appreciate. Karen, you're the bomb. Okay, so the first method that worked fine is UPS. I hear basically that essentially UPS and DHL are the way to go and that FedEx is not the way to go when it comes to mail in Mexico, so went with UPS. My sister mailed me the card. UPS said that it would get to me in 2 weeks. And it got here on the exact day that they told me it would get here, which was pretty awesome. However, they did not fully understand where my house was. And so on the day that I was supposed to get my mail, I got a phone call from somebody. At first I had no idea who was calling me, and so I ultimately hung up on them. What caught me though was they knew my name and they said the word paquete, like a package. And so that made me think it was a relevant phone call. And then it clicked that I was expecting mail. So I called them back, confirmed that they were from UPS, which they said yes. And they also basically let me know they couldn't find my house. So I asked them where they were. They told me where they were. It was not too far from my house. So I actually just had to run out and meet them and get my package from them. So it worked out really well. Make sure you are comfortable with Spanish or have somebody very close to you who's comfortable in Spanish, because you have kind of a short window. Now, I imagine if I had not been able to get my package, I would have gotten an email perhaps, or like something might have happened had I not figured out a way to communicate with this guy, but it worked out. So on the day it was supposed to get to my house, it did get to my house, sort of, but more importantly, he contacted me and I was able to go and get my mail, which is awesome. UPS for the win, handwrite the special instructions with your Mexican phone number, etc. The reason I chose my Mexican phone number, because I do still have my US number and theoretically it would work. I feel like there's a higher chance that the delivery person will use my Mexican number than a US number. They might feel maybe, I don't know, they might assume that I only speak English, that I don't speak Spanish, etc., and might be hesitant to call. So I figured having a Mexican number really did help. Again, not 100% sure if that's the case, but it worked. For my second card, what I did, and this is a huge coincidence, but it's actually something I see on Facebook a lot, which is to have somebody in the US who's coming to Mexico bring it with their luggage. So as a huge coincidence, Karen happened to be in Florida at the time, and so I had my second card mailed to her house. She received it and she brought it physically to me in her luggage. So that's the two methods that I used. Having gone through this, I'm not as nervous about using the mail system in Mexico, but honestly, like, I've lived 2 years without getting any kind of mail, without getting packages, because I can buy what I need locally and I'm not huge on having like the newest everything. So overall, it's really not going to change my lifestyle except to be much more vigilant and not losing my ATM card. That particular ATM is my favorite, one, because it's physically close to me, and two, because in 2 transactions, I'm able to get my rent money. So my rent money is 9,500 pesos. Generally, it's really kind of difficult and, I don't know, luck when you're able to get all 10,000 pesos out in one transaction, but it's actually also sometimes difficult to even have a bank that will let you do it in 2 transactions. So there is another ATM that gives me my card back first and then my money. However, I find that it will not let me get 10,000 pesos out. Like, it'll let me get 5,000 pesos. When I attempt the second transaction, it'll tell me that it's rejected and basically freak me out to where I have to go to another ATM to get the rest of my money out. So I find that for me, I just have to do a self-assessment, you know? Make sure that I'm not multitasking when I'm going to the ATM. Make sure I'm not thinking about too many other things, because I cannot leave without my card. And so we're just gonna be more careful, but we're still gonna use the same ATM because it's close, it's convenient, I can get all of my money at once, and also it has a high rate of giving me 200 pesos or less, which is like a win-win. So. I have plans for Sunday, which I have cash for. It's why I went to the ATM, is to get cash. And so I have cash for a fun event on Sunday. It's actually to celebrate Alex's birthday, so that's good. But I really have no other way of getting cash. Now, that being said, when I first arrived in San Chris, I got sick and I learned that I could order groceries through the Chedraui app with PayPal. So it's like, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. But what I can't get is rent money for November. Part of me is freaking out because, one, just being without a card, it's terrifying. So food should be okay. We should be fine. We will not starve, but what we have is an ATM problem. Now, there are other ways that I could pay my rent if legit I do not get a card in time. I will deal with that with my landlady, and we'll deal with that when the time comes. Minus Sunday, we will be spending a lot of time here in this apartment, which I'm okay with. Like, I'm not mad. I'm an introvert. I'm totally okay with it. So it doesn't change my plans necessarily that much. It's just, I'm really more worried about the rent than anything else. And I've got 2 weeks for that. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it's Friday, so of course I don't have my cards yet. And I thought I would come on and just let you know that there are, at least for myself, 3 things that I need to kind of reserve my cash for. So number 1 is the lavanderia, because I still need to have clean clothes while I'm waiting for my cards to arrive. Number 2 is for water, drinkable water, which is 22 pesos for a 20-liter container. We average 2 to 3 a week. And tips. So I'm ordering from the Chedraui app, which allows me to pay with cards as well as, thank goodness, PayPal. So I'm paying for the actual grocery order through PayPal, which is perfect. But when the person arrives, I need to reserve some kind of cash as a tip. So again, we should be totally fine until the 1st, when my friend will hopefully arrive with my credit card, or by then hopefully I just get my card in the mail. So we're fine, but just as an awareness, those are the 3 things. And then of course, if I choose to go out, but right now we are not going out because I'm still paranoid about this card not arriving. Really paranoid. So today we have a play date with a group of people at a restaurant/park, and I still don't have my card. I mean, it's Sunday, so my card is theoretically going to arrive on Tuesday. I have enough cash for sure for this event. Obviously, this is assuming that Alex and I don't go crazy at the restaurant, but either way, I've got enough for that, and also get laundry, tips, and water to last us until the end of the month, which is really only a week away, at which point, again, in 2 days, I should have my card. So we are going to go, one, because I think going outside and socializing is always a good thing. Alex loves his play dates, so we're going to go. But there's also a mental part of my back that's like, ooh, if something goes wrong and I don't get my card, and then on the 1st, I've got to like PayPal somebody money, they've got to get me cash, all of that. Like, it just, to me, it seems like a really big bother. I have amazing friends who will not bat an eye at having to do this, but my point is, the independent in me really hates doing that. So if you're seeing this video, it really means that everything turned out okay. But like right now, I don't know that everything is going to turn out okay. So there's that. So there you have it. If you are ever stuck without an ATM in San Cris, Chedraui app for groceries, hopefully you have some kind of cash and you're not literally at 0, because you will have to find cash. Like getting water, if you need to use a lavanderia, if you need to get anything delivered, you still have to have some kind of cash. So have a buffer, have some extra cash on you pretty much at all times, just in case, but also, yeah, careful at the ATM.